call the regular City of Aztec City Commission meeting for May 12, 2020 to order. Commissioner Randall has graciously agreed to do the invocation, and I'm going to go ahead and lead us in the pledges. So if you would please stand.
Pray with me, please. Dear Lord, we humbly come before you again, asking for guidance and your wisdom, and as we sit and make decisions for the city of Aztec, Lord, we ask this special prayer upon our country, our city, our state, all those we hold dear, continue to keep us healthy and safe, and just put your hand on during this time, and we know we'll get through it, Lord. Help us to get there. You need to bless us and be with us. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and
to
to
the
the
republic
republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
just all. I salute the flag
State of New
of the
Mexico,
state of Mexico and the Z symbol
a
of
perfect
perfect
friendship among united
among
cultures.
your cultures.
Okay, thanks again. Okay, Carla, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Snover,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Fry,
Here,
Commissioner Padilla,
Here.
Commissioner Randall,
Here.
Commissioner Lewis,
Here.
all present.
Okay, next up, we have a guest tonight, Superintendent of Aztec Municipal School District, Mr. Kirk Carpenter. Before I read this proclamation, Mr. Carpenter, I didn't know if you wanted to add anything or if you want to wait until I'm finished, whichever you prefer, or none of the above. It's up to you. You're muted, sir.
Can you unmute it?
I can't.
Yes.
There we go.
Is that better?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
I shouldn't have said anything because I really liked it better. No, maybe if you read the proclamation, then I may just add just a couple things. Is it okay?
Absolutely. Hey, and before I start reading this, I don't know who else. I was in a conversation with somebody today, and it might have been Colonel Samples, my counterpart at JROTC. And just like everybody else, none of us always like what all of our leaders always do. We may Monday morning quarterback them at times. I'm sure it's common. You know, we do it with the government. We do it with our boss, who Mr. Carpenter happens to be mine. But I just want to say, you know, some of these moments, and I have to say that I think, you know, sometimes our leaders meet the moment. And I have to say, I think Mr. Carpenter, along with Dr. Hall and our whole staff, but especially the folks at the very top, have really kind of met this moment. And all of the different moving parts and issues that we're having with students with connectivity and being a lower income school district, you know, he along with the team of principals and administrators, he's met it, you know, head on, and, you know, done what I can, you know, in my estimation, a fantastic job, and has kept everybody's morale as high as we could possibly expect in a pandemic, in a situation that none of us have ever faced. So I just wanted to say that in front of whoever's watching and everybody here in the city. So I just wanted to thank you, Mr. Carpenter, for all of your leadership and all the things you've done for the district through this time and through all the times.
Well, thank you very much for those nice words.
So I'm going to go ahead and read this. It's a proclamation for Aztec Municipal School District Senior Class of 2020. Whereas members of the senior class of 2020 have proven to be courageous, resilient, and resourceful. And whereas Tiger seniors are facing unprecedented challenges due to COVID-19. And whereas students and families come first in celebrating the very special achievement of high school graduation. And whereas the Aztec Municipal School Board and Aztec City Commission invite Tiger seniors to participate in a series of recognition activities in May 2020. And whereas family and friends are invited to join with the Aztec Municipal School Board and Aztec City Commission to honor and appreciate the class of 2020. and support them beyond graduation in meeting their lifetime goals. And whereas community members throughout northern New Mexico are invited to support this month-long celebration of high school seniors, and whereas the Aztec Municipal Schools and the City of Aztec staff will work with members of the senior class to promote Senior Recognition Month via Facebook, websites, and other media outlets. And now, therefore, on behalf of the Aztec Municipal School Board and City of Aztec, we do hereby proclaim the month of May as Celebrating Our Seniors Month. We urge our students and staff to come together in celebration as we focus on building a stronger, united district for everyone to enjoy, dated this 12th day of May 2020. And it'll be signed by School Board President Roger Collins and myself. So thank you very much. It was a privilege to be able to do that. Mr. Carpenter, take it away if you have anything.
First of all, just like to say again, thank you for your nice words. And as you know, from your military background and many people here, that it's really not me. I think if there's been anything that hasn't run well, it's probably because I've tried to make a decision. But it's all the people around me. And it's been, to me, I don't know, it kind of gets your adrenaline going. We can't change what's going on. I think it's, but we have full choice on how we deal with it. And I think that's been the biggest thing, that people have done a tremendous job. The teachers, the nurses, every day, I'm in my office today. And for a reason, there's things that need to be done. I could be working from home, but I feel like it's important if we have packages. It's the fact that we have a lot of bus drivers and other people that are doing their job, and the job they're doing is but the principals and the teachers, it's been absolutely amazing. And when you have situations like this that destroy you, they can defend you or they can strengthen you. And that's a saying that's sitting on a calendar that I have in the office. I can't plagiarize it, but I think that there's a lot of truth in that. And so I hope that, and hope's not a strategy. I hope that our decisions to get out of this pandemic, that we stay together, been through some things that you can put in the book, and that we can stay together and save the community. That is my hope, and I think it's a necessity. That's what we're going to need to do, because you guys, as you've gone through your budget presentation, we're going through a very similar one. But just as there's only one aspect. Heard that before too. Important that we do that, and doing something like we're doing tonight for just something on paper. Big things happening. Drive to the Riverside Park and see the band that's going up. And that doesn't happen in a lot of places. We saw the idea, we know the thinking, but it's a community we have, and we just thank you guys for all your support, continued support, and we'll get this together. But I think the biggest thing is we stay together. And we just appreciate you guys, not just during this time, but all the time. We just thank you for the opportunity, all the support. And again, thank you for the kind words. All the support goes to all the people around. They did a tremendous job, and they've kept me out of the way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I guess we're ready to move to approval of agenda items. If there are any items that do not meet the approval for being heard on this evening's agenda, now is the time to remove those items. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda as given.
Mayor, I move to approve this evening's agenda as given.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Next up is consent agenda. Items placed on the consent agenda will be voted on with one motion. If any item proposed does not meet the approval of all commissioners, a commissioner may request that the item be heard under items from consent agenda. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda as given.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve the evening's consent agenda as given.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Let's see, Carla, did we have any citizens input by chance?
We did not have any.
Thank you, ma'am. There are no business items or land use hearings, so I'm going to move straight to item 11, Commissioner, City Manager, and Department Head reports. And I will start with the City Manager, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of quick things. Want to follow up with a little bit of what Mr. Carpenter said. The senior project is going along well with the banners going up in Riverside. Jeff Blackburn originally met with Lacey Phillips, who's a member of the high school booster club, kind of got the ball rolling. The electric department has been down there today along with Lacey putting those banners up. We're already starting to see some traffic down there, but a cool idea. Banners look great. And I think what has been planned for the seniors throughout this month says a lot for the community as well as the schools. Just want to mention also the San Juan Regional Medical Center staff. A lot of the things that we're doing today with the social distancing and mask wearing go to help stop the spread of the virus. And the staff at the hospital they're seeing a huge impact. Just, working long shifts, all sorts of traumatic events that are occurring in that hospital due to the COVID-19. And just want to keep them and give a shout out to them for what they're doing and, helping out the community. Last but not least, just a shout out to the Aztec City staff. Difficult times we're going through budget related, as we just heard, and they're just marching forward, and just want to give a shout out to them, and we'll get our job done, whether we like it or not, during some instances, but we've got a phenomenal staff, top to bottom. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gobble?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd kind of like to echo some of the thoughts by Mr. Mueller. Big shout out to all the frontline workers, hospital, healthcare, law enforcement, everybody that's working to keep the citizens of Aztec fed and safe. I salute those people. I know this is very difficult times, and I truly appreciate the work that they've been doing. Other than that, I would still just like to encourage everybody to patronize the local businesses if they're able, and hopefully we can get through this and we can open back up our economy to some type of scale and get back to some sort of normalcy as soon as possible. I'd like to wish the citizens of Aztec happy, well, I wouldn't say happy, but I hope everybody's health is good, and the commission, I hope everybody's doing well as they can be, and I'm hopeful that we can get back to having regular in-person meetings soon. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Lewis?
Just briefly, I've been following the water flow and snowpack reports that have been coming in, and we'll get up. I think we'll have enough to irrigate. I think there will be no releases this year to mimic the flow in the San Juan because there's just not enough snowpack. But more or less, we have a 50-50 chance of having more precipitation this year. So let's all keep our fingers crossed that we will have increased precipitation. Let's see, good news. Let's see, as I mentioned before, I had 3 clients that were in the hospital, 2 on respirators. All 3, everyone's off respirator now. They're doing better. They're recovering. And one actually called me yesterday. It's the first time I've heard him in about a month. And he sounded weak, but he's doing fine. So that's good news. And I've been making masks, which we are distributing. And I never knew I could sew until I learned. That's about it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Randall?
I have no report other than just same thing, everyone stay safe out there. And I know yesterday started the first order for essential businesses that are required to be wearing masks, and you ought to see us get a bunch of roughnecks in masks around here. It's pretty funny making them wear their masks, but we're doing it, and everything's going smooth. I feel for everyone else out there, and just keep up the good work. And I did want to say one thing, from the workshop to a lot of people watching, it may seem like we don't ask a lot of questions around budget, but a lot of that is because, one, there's not a lot of questions, and there's a tremendous amount of faith that we have in our staff, be it our finance director, our department heads, and our city manager going forward. I mean, that's my excuse, I guess, for not really asking a bunch of questions, because I really don't have any questions. I trust what they're doing and know that when something comes in on the budget, it's very important, because they wouldn't have something on there if it wasn't very important. We still review it. We still look at it and do our due diligence. But I want to make clear to people that we don't just sit here and stare and, oh, sure, whatever you want. It's that we have years worth of experience and, good faith with our employees. And that's why sometimes it looks like we don't have any questions, because we trust them. So I just wanted to throw that in.
Thank you. I think that's important to say, because sometimes it looks like we're just kind of deer in the headlights sort of thing. When in fact we have such a rock star staff that they kind of anticipate some of these things and cover them before we even, know that it's a question kind of thing, and it's covered ahead of time. And it's pretty close to airtight by the time we get it, except for a few tweaks here and there. So I think that was important. Thank you. Let's see. Commissioner Padilla.
I really don't have much. It's really sad for me to watch what's happening this year for our Aztec seniors. Driving around today, I'm seeing signs in the yard. I do have one. I hate that Carpenter left, but I did notice that we had one young man that's going to the Naval Academy, and I've always been interested every year how many kids from our area get picked for the naval or one of the academies, because being a veteran, that's important to me to watch. And I was just wondering that question. Do you know that, Kurt?
Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, Zane Chapman is the one that got appointed to the Naval Academy. And then I can't tell you offhand how many other students are actually going to enlist. Usually, if I'm not mistaken, I think we have 4 or 5 others offhand, and I know the mayor may have an idea, because I know they're usually on top of that. But Zane Chapman is the young man that actually got appointed to the Naval Academy.
Thank you. Well, I think it's important in today's economy for these young people to have that opportunity, and to see a young man from Aztec get appointed to such a prestigious organization. To me, it needs to be brought to his attention, and I think the city needs to recognize that a little more than what we're doing. But that's all I have. Again, I want to congratulate all the seniors, congratulate our school board and our schools for what they're doing. It's a tough year for them. I see it happening everywhere, and we're fortunate to have the staff, as just to echo what everybody else says. I've been through the budget process too many times, and if the trust level isn't there, we don't get through it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, I did have a meeting with Sherry Sype about the Northwest New Mexico seniors, and we're not having a meeting until sometime in June, and I have a lot to learn, and it's a complex system for the seniors. So I appreciate all the information that I got from Sherry. And tomorrow I have a San Juan County Partnership Board meeting, and so I continue to reach out and ask people to shop local and dine local with takeout. And I understand our flower shop had a great Mother's Day because of people reaching out and ordering flowers, so they're pretty happy about that. And the piano project moves along, and I hope that Sandy and I can meet with Steve before too long, kind of brainstorm as to what we see for the summer and the display of those pianos that are turning out to be absolute works of art. That's all.
Thank you. Yeah, I've seen the one piano that was completed so far. I've been following on Facebook, and it's like a 3D picture. It's so cool.
Yeah,
I mean, I know that we have talented people in this area, but it just, when you actually see it, it just kind of blows my mind, just how incredibly talented. Just really quick, and I agree with Commissioner Padilla. Maybe there's something that we can do for Mr. Chapman and his appointment to the Naval Academy. I'll take the blame for that. Traditionally, at least since I've been, on city commission and been the mayor, I've been invited and allowed to read a brief letter from the mayor's office that the commission has approved me to do to all the folks that have enlisted, into military service. And I've been doing it at the school's award ceremony, but obviously that's had to take a back seat because of COVID-19. But point taken for sure. And this is kind of a special, I was an enlisted guy. I didn't go to any of the academies. And this is a special privilege to have somebody from our school go to someplace like one of the service academies. So if you would, Steve, maybe make a quick note and I'll follow up with you in the next day or two, see if there's something we can do for Mr. Chapman. But at any rate, I appreciate everything the schools are doing, and everybody's working so hard. The staff is working hard. They're feeding kids. We kind of may be I wouldn't say we're forgetting about it, but it's becoming, we're starting to get into this sort of routine where we're staying home and we're not seeing folks as much as we would in our normal lives. So I think it's important, like a lot of the commissioners have done up till now, this evening, to point out things that they're seeing, some of the signs in the yards, the things kids, we all graduated a lot of years ago, and it's maybe hard for us to recall just how special of a day it is. Because there may be some kids that, this is a family achievement for them. And it's sad that they're not going to have, the full pomp and circumstance that we've been able to give them in years past. But just know, as you go out into town and you see some of these parents and some of these kids, just let them know how proud we are of them. I try to do that with my students, on my Google Classroom and whatever, opportunities I have to let them know. And it's, it's kind of bittersweet that we're going to lose them to the world without kind of getting that last opportunity to give them a high five or a hug or a pat on the back or all the above. But one other thing, I was invited to participate in a virtual roundtable the other day with Congressman Lujan, and I kind of talked about it with Kathy in the budget workshop as far as some of the initiatives that Congress is pushing, especially our congressman, to make sure that our smaller communities don't get left in the dark like they did with the first couple of rounds of COVID relief funding. A lot of it was for communities of 500,000 people or more, of which New Mexico only has one. And some states don't have any. So I think that's going to be fixed, hopefully, to some degree, and that we, fingers crossed, will get a little bit of relief, at least something, so where we won't have to bear the burden of all of these costs on our own. So, and there was, some of the fire chiefs from the area, our own San Juan County fire chief was on that roundtable as well, speaking of, PPE expenses and additional costs that weren't anticipated in the budget, and getting made whole with those types of things. And other than that, I don't have any other board meetings or anything. We're just kind of trucking along. And I want to give a little shout out to my former battalion commander. She was gracious enough to invite me to the Zoom virtual honors banquet that we're doing. And Mr. Carpenter sent me an invite along with the other folks that got selected. I've done a lot of cool things, I think, in my career, as, retired from the Army and all that kind of stuff, and been lucky enough to serve here. But one of the biggest things that I'm the proudest of is in the years that I've taught in Aztec, this is my 5th year. Any year that we've had an honor graduate in JROTC, they've asked me to be their guest. So it's one of the proudest achievements that I have professionally and personally, for those kids to have made at least a little bit of an impact, or maybe they just couldn't get anybody else to go, whatever. It feels good for them to ask me to go, and I'm going to get to, brag on Savannah Lesker on Monday and tell everybody how wonderful she is and kind of the future she has in front of her. But with that, that's all I got. I appreciate you indulging me for that. And let's see, I guess we'll move on to department head reports. I'm looking at all the things here. Jeff, it looks like you're ready to jump in there. Go ahead, sir.
Commission and Mayor, I just wanted to update you on the Aztec Disc Golf Course. We're making great progress out there. I want to give a shout out to the San Juan Basin Disc Golf Club. They've come through and done more than I would have ever expected them to do on this project. And, we're not even finished yet. These guys are motivated and really helping us do the work. I just remind everybody that, what we were trying to build here is a pro style course with the idea of bringing recreation dollars to the community. We have plans for it also to be more of a course for those that aren't pro people, but we have some budget constraints now. But we are going to try to set it up where it's not as hard. There'll be tee boxes that will make it a little bit shorter for those other folks. So if you get calls on that, it's still a little rough. We're still working things out, but we're doing our best to make it really something awesome and something to be proud of for the community. I also wanted to mention that on Kiva, we have the 2016 Park Recreation Enhancement Plan. This is a tool that I'm updating right now for 2021. It may be something you want to take a look at because I know you have a lot of tough decisions coming up for budget. And this will give you some meats and potatoes of what we do over in the parks. Also developing for 21 a buildings maintenance plan, which will have the similar information in it, standards and such. And these tools we develop, and I just don't want them to be forgotten because they can be helpful when you're making these decisions. So I appreciate it if you'd like to take a look at that.
Thank you, sir. Is that all? Did you? Cool. Thank you, Mr. Blackburn. Any other department heads want to give a quick report, or are we good? Okay. I don't see anybody jumping or unmuting. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate everybody taking their time this evening. And with that, I would move to adjourn.
This conference is no longer being recorded.